Here are my thoughts for 2014 overall, and welcome to the new year. Greetings, welcome, Happy New Year. Anthony Mars Jr. on PRLG Galaxy 2014 with the brand new video podcast, and welcome to PRLG Galaxy 2014 Season 3. And I bring you all to, as promised, to start the new year off, podcast episode 124. Last we left off from my last couple of videos, presented by my Morphin Megaverse Power Rangers Facebook group, my brand new Unleash the Power Rangers Dino Charge Facebook group, if you haven't checked that, and as well as my self-devoted fan page on Facebook, and some other stuff that I really don't want to discuss and talk about today. Well, for my first podcast on the channel's third year, although PRLG Galaxy 2014 doesn't turn 3 years old officially until August 31st, but we're very months away from August. But you know, we just already started the year of 2015. 2014 is over. And also, at the time when I did this video, before I would even release it, I decided at the last minute, New Year's Eve, on the day when this video was made, I said to myself, screw it, I'm not going to wait until February to come back. I mean, what else is there for me to do? I mean, when people find out I'm not, it's like when people find out I'm not making new videos, they're going to know something. So I think I should start Season 3 of the channel a little early. Not around New Year, like January 1st like it did last year, because, well, I was very cringing through it, and despite the fact that, to be honest though, 2014 as a year in general, it wasn't really a good year for me. I mean, to you guys, yes, it was good for you, good for you guys, but me, I didn't even hardly, to be honest, throughout 2014, I hardly didn't even do anything special or anything memorable in 2014. I spent all year long of the 12 months in this house, 365 days, like previous years, in this house doing absolutely nothing. I mean, doing the same old stuff that, even though if I did home videos of what I'd be doing every day, then you guys will witness what I've been doing, but you guys don't want to see that. Because it's none of your, well, beeswax, and excuse me for saying that. Because the thing is about why I was like this for the last 2 years on this channel, and even throughout YouTube in general, is that I've always been such a sensitive, butthurt son of a bitch. And that's the truth. And, I just never even did anything. I just didn't do anything special. I mean, aside from what I did on the channel, like posting some stuff, I mean, podcast every week, except for the summer, because the summer I needed to take some time off, and even this year and New Year's onwards, I needed to think of something else to do outside from these videos. And starting with this video and future podcast toy reviews and vlogs of mine, I need to do something. I need to do a lot of things outside from the YouTube community, and as well as on Facebook and on Power Rangers Facebook groups, like, Morphin Megaverse and and those groups. Because, you see, I need to do something outside from this stuff, and also spend. This is one of my this is one of my top resolutions, one of my top 5 resolutions. Because when the new year approaches, when you write down a list of what you plan to do for the new year as the new year starts, you have to come up with a resolution and have to stick to that resolution in order for you to live a better life. But past years, I never did New Year's resolutions, and here's one. I've been planning this since, if you remember following my return to the channel back around Power Morphicon, when Power Morphicon 4 was happening over in Pasadena, California, for those that are in California and went to the Power Morphicon convention, last year's Power Morphicon. And I said to myself, following my return video, and then when I released, the trailer for my half-assed, dreadful Power Rangers Lost Galaxy fan film that nobody liked it to see, I said to myself, 2015, I'm going to do less videos, less podcasts, and pretty much less toy reviews. So that means I'm going to have to delay a lot of a lot of toys from Power Rangers Dino Charge to review. And as well as, it's just because I need to do something else for a change. I exhausted myself as I approached 2014, and some people's anticipation to see my Power Rangers Lost Galaxy fan film. Really, it wasn't really a fan film. It was more like a puppet theater film for anyone who wants to mock me for that. And it's just, I just have not done nothing fun. There was nothing fun for me to do in 2014. The stuff I did in 2014, I didn't even do nothing. I didn't even go out into like to a convention. I never went out to see someone outside from YouTube. If someone wants to take a selfie with me at some place, if I know anyone on YouTube that is my subscribers that live where I'm at, no, that never happened. I just didn't do anything other than, again, toy reviews, a couple of movie reviews until I stopped by my American Psycho review, a couple of vlogs once in a while, but not much. But throughout the year, I've been doing, while I was still doing my Power Rangers Lost Galaxy fan film, even when it was in its post-production stages and it was set to be released on here, podcasts, needless podcasts that are pointless, that nobody wants to hear about. Especially if it's podcasts where I talk my ass off about my fan movie about Lost Galaxy over and over, which is really exhausting. And nobody cares to see the film anyway. Unless the top subscribers I know wanted to see it. But the majority of the others, though, you guys didn't want to hear me talk about that when I'm discussing what's real in Power Rangers lore, what's part of the show's canon and not something that's part of the show's canon. Because you see, fan fiction and fan films are often less worth talking about. But when it's something in general about the actual series, that's worth talking about. I understand, but I understand fan fiction is just something aside, personal thing, not something to be shared out to the whole world. And I understand fan fiction is something to express how I feel with the characters and in a universe of that franchise. But it's just I guess I went overboard with the fan fiction stuff on this channel, and knowing that I need to stop living in that fantasy world that I've been living in for so long, and it needs to stop. Because what can I say? Well, to start off, January, February, March. January, I started my second season immediately after the Christmas break of 2013. And 2014 was season 2 of my channel, since my channel has been on since 2 years ago. Been active since 2 years ago. And, well, on my earlier pre-month start on PRLG Galaxy 2014, I did some videos on, my first video that I posted was my announcement on a Power Rangers Lost Galaxy fan film reboot, since my last previous fan film attempt at Power Rangers Lost Galaxy, since that didn't work out. I went ahead and did a fan film adaptation that ended up being for last year in 2014. But as 2014 approached, barely anyone even cared to hear about my film and looked up to me for it. while a lot of you dismissed me because you knew it was going to be a paper doll movie and nobody liked it, because nobody wants to see a sock puppet fan film of a Power Ranger season that is direly less worth talking about. But if I did that to any other Power Ranger season as a fan film in that production medium, you guys would definitely hate me and hate my guts for that. So this is why for the next 2 years and a half, or the next year, this coming year and the next year and a half, you guys are not going to hear much of me talk about my next Power Rangers Lost Galaxy fan film, because knowing 2016 is going to be the release of Lionsgate's Mighty Morphin Power Rangers reboot movie. So you won't be hearing much about PRLG 2 happening pretty much months after the release of the new Power Rangers movie coming out in 2016. And then whatever else that's happening right now, and what I'm doing right now, because I think 2015 is one of the it's going to be one of those calm, quiet down kind of years for me, because 2014, like 2013 before it for me, was pretty busy. Actually, it wasn't really all that busy. I just was busy doing nothing, just lazing around like a lazy bum with no money, no job, no friends, no nothing. And that's what I did in 2014. I spent the whole year, 365 days, 12 months of 2014 doing nothing. It's like I'm living in a real life world of Seinfeld, where I spent a year of nothing. That's what I did. 2014 was the year of nothing for me. And February was the start of the dreadful continuation of course, of the 20th anniversary of Power Rangers Super Mega Force. I understand how you guys are with Super Mega Force, why it sucked. I personally actually did somewhat like Super Mega Force, for a slight exception, all until the Legendary Battle happened. Well, the Legendary Battle I only had mixed opinions for that, not all deep negative and hatred toward the final episode of Super Mega Force, because the Legendary Battle was half-assed. And I told you back in my final thoughts video, I'm not going to repeat it because it's going to be hard for me to look back to that video and rephrase what I said there again, because it's only been a couple of weeks since I posted that video around Thanksgiving week late last year, so I can't rephrase it. And then, well, one of the best things with 2014 in terms of the Power Rangers community was Power Morphicon 4, where almost every actor from Power Rangers past, especially most of the majority of all the female villain actresses, and for the first time featuring Hilary Shepard, who played Divatox, and Melanie Perkins, who played Astronema / Corone, would appear at Power Morphicon, and Carol Hoyt, the first Divatox / Demetria, and Danny Slavin from Lost Galaxy, and Allison McGinnis, and Chauncey W. Johnson, and Rhett Fisher, and Austin St. John making his triumphant return to the Power Rangers fandom in terms of former Ranger actors appearing at Power Morphicon. That's what surprised. Well, knowing Austin St. John's return to the Power Rangers fan community, the former original Red Power Ranger himself returning to the United States after being a paramedic overseas, and it's so great to see him come back and make a triumphant, surprising return, and seeing him come back to Power Morphicon, and even at Power Morphicon, although I didn't go, and seeing Walter Jones and David Yost reunite with their original leader of the Mighty Morphin team, and also surprising enough at Power Morphicon for the two Mighty Morphin Red Ranger panels, Mighty Morphin Red and Tyranno Ranger Geki, which is, I forgot his name, whose name escapes me at the moment, from Kyoryu Sentai Zoo Ranger, and seeing Austin St. John and what's his name, who played Geki and Zoo Ranger, Tyranno Ranger, for the first time, seeing the American and versus Japanese sort of worlds collide sort of panel going on, and Karen Ashley was the host of the panel, and even a good thing I got some snippets and added it to. Well, although I didn't go to Power Morphicon. I do have video clips from someone else that was at the panel and added it to my Power Morphicon 4 playlist of videos of panels and such that went on in Power Morphicon last year. Because Power Morphicon 4 was like the biggest Power Morphicon of the previous out of all the previous Power Morphicon conventions that happened. Well, I'll try to go to Power Morphicon 5 next year in 2016, or probably the next one 2 years after that. Because if I don't get out to see all the other Power Ranger fans, I will just might as well be like in spirit, just watching videos of Power Morphicon happen on YouTube like I did the previous years. Because I can't catch a plane to get to California, knowing that my dad doesn't like California, and told me that California sucks and all that, and so I can't go. And not even San Diego Comic-Con. Yeah, San Diego Comic-Con, we had some Power Ranger related stuff going on, like the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive Mighty Morphin Ranger key set, and some legacy metallic red, white, and green Ranger figures that was out at that time, and anything else. And even the cast reveal of Power Rangers Dino Charge was one of the best, one of the slight best things about 2014, because it feels to me 2014 to me feels like 2011 for me, because except I'm not in school or anything, but back in 2011 it just wasn't a good year. 2014 to me was just as worse as 2011, because I just couldn't get over a couple dark. I mean, it was just. I was going for the last 4 years being on YouTube. I mean, starting from 2011. Although I was on my old YouTube channel until I had to defunct it. And also, speaking of which, before I get back on topic, for those who may know, when I was not on PRLG Galaxy 2014 for a while, late last year, around Thanksgiving weekend, I had to shut down my original YouTube account, Anthony March 1. Therefore, Anthony March 1 no longer exists. So after 3 years on that channel, although I have not been on it since late 2012 after Cartoon Network gave me a fucking copyright strike because I uploaded a clip from Black Dynamite from an episode of Black Dynamite when it aired on Adult Swim one time. And as soon as they gave me a copyright strike, that damaged my use to use the channel. So I said, you know what? I'm not using this channel anymore. That's why I moved to PRLG Galaxy 2014. And also another thing I need to start doing as 2015 unravels. Starting this season and onwards, anything I discuss when I ramble about this and that from current to the past, but mainly the past, me talking about what I did back in the past needs to fucking stop, and that starts now. Because that's one of the few things why I'm losing subscribers. Because nobody wants to hear me bitch about my personal life from prior to when I started my channel, my time on this channel, and onwards. And because, nobody wants to hear me talk about the past, because talking about the past is bad. Just like in that Christmas song about Christmas present, Christmas future, Christmas past, and all that. What was the name of it? Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, I think that was the name of the song. And, and talking about that. Talking about that so much. I mean, talking about the past is wrong. And I think I need to stop doing that. And I should have stopped doing it a long time ago. It's just a habit. It's a force of habit that I just can't stop doing. And also, some other stuff that I've already stopped doing as effective since August of last year, that I need to stop talking about my high school past, knowing that I should put my high school past behind me, and as much as I already put my middle school past way behind me, because knowing that I don't even want to explain some of the things I did back in middle school that made me have the worst times of my life as I start to develop to grow up. Because, you guys can consider me in the comment section as some man-child because of the way how I talk or the way how I communicate with others. Yeah, I know how that feels. Actually, I don't. Then, 2014, what else did I did? Also, still nothing. What did I do exactly? Well, the Power Rangers Lost Galaxy fan film of mine was pretty much one of the worst things of the year. I knew then and there, as soon as I released my fan film on PR Lost Galaxy 2014, I realized that my fan film was universally panned by a lot of Power Ranger fans. And especially those that watch fan films once in a while. And as soon as when a few people stumbled upon my Lost Galaxy fan film, I knew then and there, I knew that the people, even prior to when the movie's release, was right. My movie, based on one person's opinion, was destined to fail. The other one said that my film was going to suck, and in the Lionsgate Power Rangers reboot movie is going to be way better than my Lost Galaxy movie, knowing it just came out prior to the new Power Rangers movie coming out actually. And knowing that the MMPR fan film, although its status is probably cut off because Saban stopped that fan film from being released, Zordon and Veltar Teenagers with Attitude is way better than my Lost Galaxy fan film, because nobody wants to see a Power Rangers fan film where I have characters as puppets or action figures half of the time, and video game stock footage. And someone pointed out that my fan film was like a was like a South Park parody of the same Power Rangers. Well, it's probably because I probably did the first movie exactly. Maybe I was going by an approach of trying to blend comedy with seriousness, when knowing I wanted it to be a dark fan film, but I didn't mean to inject comedy into the film by mistake. Maybe it was I was doing something very silly, and I tried to do something dead on serious. But if you rewatch the movie again, well, I'm not going to give you the link to it because nobody's not going to watch it anyway. Nobody wants to watch anything I made that's just like I said, crappy homemade movies, according to, well, yeah. But I'm just saying. But the thing what I did in that was, that person pointed out it was like a South Park parody of Lost Galaxy, and it was like the worst fan film adaptation. I mean, this was just my first film, and I'm not going to repeat that again. That's another thing I need to start doing as of now. Stop repeating the same thing I did for the past 100 some videos already. Throughout the summer, throughout the year in general, while I was at home 24/7, because this is my mainstay until I don't know what, probably go to college. I'm in community college, what job out there is there for me to do. I had some issue problems with my family here, and I really hate to expose it to you guys, and that's also the third thing I need to stop doing is to stop talking about my personal life. I mean, unless if I do it in a vlog, if it's something that troubles me, I have to express it. But talking about what happens in the house in general, that's something that people don't want to hear from me, because knowing that that's irrelevant. If I go out in public, I can do that when not on camera, but just have a private conversation somewhere in a friend's house, but not around where there's a whole bunch of people in, like, let's say a movie theater or at a fast food chain like McDonald's or Wendy's or Chick-fil-A someplace, talking about my personal life and the struggles that I'm going through. And or at a community park where kids are playing on the playground, and I'm talking to someone my age or so, talking about what I've gone through. Nobody wants to hear those stories. Now, when it comes to someone else's stories about what they went through, would you think I wouldn't listen to them? Yeah, pretty much of a yes or a no sort of answer. So, I did, of course, was about to release a couple of podcasts where there were some very controversial subjects that I wanted to post up here, and I felt that and I told you back when I told you back in my video update, until I had to delete the update video for a reason, because nobody was barely watching or heard the feedback, was that the reason why a few podcasts that I've done in 2014. Last season, a couple of the podcasts that I did half of them were controversial, half of them were misleading, half of them were sort of degrading one's individual, and I felt that half of those videos I did were considered inappropriate. They wasn't sexually inappropriate or anything. They were just the type of videos that I felt would degrade someone's identity and someone's personality, someone's personal information. So I that's why I told you back in podcast 117 I would not post that video again. Actually, just delete the video, the original audio, and the photo still I was using of that person, just to talk trash to that person, and just let the person go and have that podcast episode's topic on some other subject, or probably a subject I have to rebuttal on if no one has caught on to it already. And that's why I stopped on that. And what even made a couple of things why I feel 2014 was the worst year for me, out of the years of the 2010s generation for me, as I grow into my 20s. 2014, well, again, within the Power Rangers community, again speaking, YouTube and its faulty blanket copyright content ID system being a jack up. Ever since when Power Rangers Super Mega Force happened, a lot of us fans were thinking Haim Saban himself, since Saban's Power Rangers, his channel is out there, it's been active since Samurai started. But when Super Mega Force approached to us last year, yes, I understand a lot of you people hate Super Mega Force out there and around, and even where I'm at. Ever since that Power Rangers Thanks a Billion video happened, that's when YouTube's copyright system starts flagging our Power Rangers related videos. Any imagery, any video content of Power Rangers, any like fan-made music videos with clips of the show, of any season of the show of a respective character, or the season in general with a copyrighted song. And Saban's Power Rangers' name is tagged to the copyright notice, and every time I look at let's say, I had a few videos following that where there were videos. I told you what those videos were. That's why I deleted them, and I probably won't post them anymore because of those issues. Especially my Jungle Fury video rant, where I discussed why I didn't like Jungle Fury and some of the things I did like about it. And as soon as when Saban's Power, that was my third warning. As soon as when I got a match third-party content one day for that notice for that one day, posting that video, because Saban's Power Rangers was on the verge of trying to shut every single one of our Power Ranger themed YouTube accounts down for no reason, and knowing that I just came to realize it wasn't Saban doing this. It was actually YouTube's faulty copyright, content ID system, their new content ID system that was jacking up. And why we can't even, that's why I was so afraid that I thought it was Haim Saban, since Haim Saban is the creator of Power Rangers, he owns the rights to Power Rangers, and all that, and thinking that he and his cohorts over at Saban Brands is doing this. Well, although prior-wise, when Power Ranger Samurai started, and ever since when Saban bought the rights to Power Rangers back, for those that had open YouTube accounts that posted full-length Power Rangers episodes, and albeit I already know a couple of channels right now that are posting full-length episodes pretty much illegally, and half of them have already been blocked from our country and not available in our own country worldwide. The thing, if you post a full-length episode, they're going to, hunt you down. Saban's going to hunt you down, and then they will take your account down. That happened earlier last year, and it happened earlier years prior. But when YouTube came out and when Disney still had the rights to Power Rangers, we didn't have this problem. But as soon as when Saban came back, it started to be more like Power Rangers copyright Nazi force all of a sudden last year, and even years prior. But it got even worse when Super Mega Force happened. And when even Toei, we already had people who be posting Super Sentai Kamen Rider related content. That happened once in every while. But it's been total hectic here on YouTube for me, and for anyone that posts Power Rangers related content weekly, bi-weekly every day throughout the past year. Especially I'm looking at you, Mr. Weenie and Mr. Weenie Productions and everyone else that went through this issue earlier last year. And I think we need to forget about this. But if it happens if this misogynistic issue with the copyright stuff about us posting Power Ranger related content happens from Saban's Power Rangers again in 2015 with Dino Charge around this time, I don't know what to say anymore. I'm just going to stop posting videos about Power Rangers, stop doing podcasts and whatever where I use images or whatever when I'm doing a vlog of a Power Ranger season or a character or whatever, Megazord, and just talk about that stuff with my camera on, where the camera is facing me and I'm showing myself on camera discussing the stuff, even when knowing I'm still camera fright. That's why I have to do stuff in audio commentary. That's one of the few things why 2014 was not a good year, especially throughout on YouTube and within the Power Rangers community. And we should forgive Saban for the and forgive the blame why we thought here on YouTube that Saban's Power Rangers YouTube channel is responsible for this, knowing it's knowing as YouTube's faulty copyright system. Moving on, another thing within the Power Rangers community why I felt there was something awkward, and I said to myself, since the start of Super Mega Force. Before the announcement of Power Rangers Dino Charge, which will air in February in a couple of weeks, I said to myself, if you remember back in my in one of my earlier podcasts from last year, originally known as commentaries back then, until I had to change because someone told me I have a bad tendency of calling my videos commentaries when I ramble about stuff. I said that after Super Mega Force, if Saban adapts Go Busters, I would stop watching Power Rangers. But my mind was changed until I heard that Kyuryuger was going to be adapted next. Because I told you I don't like Go Busters. I didn't like the Sentai because it didn't felt very Sentai-ish. It felt more like it should have been suitable for a Metal Hero show or a Kamen Rider show, not Super Sentai at the time when Go Busters came out in 2012. Now 3 years ago, as of 2015, passed since 2012. And knowing Kyuryuger, despite it being the more likable Sentai, the more engagingly improvement over Go Busters. Although despite the fact Kyuryuger still has Kyuryuger, although despite the fact is well liked by us American audiences and Japanese audiences alike, but it still had lower ratings than Go Buster did. But at least the toy sales were a better improvement for Kyuryuger over the toy sales for Go Busters. That's pretty much one of the best things about why Kyuryuger was being picked up for the new season of Power Rangers after Super Mega Force. That's why we're pretty excited to see Dino Charge coming about. And as soon as when they, because I understand we've been going through for the last 4 years of Power Rangers, especially in the Neo Saban era, going through some really dark times that the show has not been good since. I mean, ever since when Saban bought the rights back. And don't you worry. Sooner or later, starting in the beginning of this channel's 3rd season for podcasts, I will do a podcast on Jonathan Disaster for his monotonous dreadfulness on how much he ruined the 20th anniversary of Power Rangers. Don't you worry. I will do that eventually. Oh, okay, so outside of Power Rangers, what should I talk about from pop culture that I thought was best and worst of 2014? Well, within some podcasts, I did talk about some stuff in the pop culture world, in the Hollywood celebrity world, that I did do a podcast commentary back then. About a lawsuit from Rockstar. And, for using a likeness of a reality TV star likeness for a character in Grand Theft Auto 5. And knowing Karen Gravano was responsible for filing that stupid lawsuit when knowing that was just really idiotic of her to do that. Yes, I did a video on that before, and I know I did it a couple of days late at the time, so I understand that video wasn't going anywhere. However, as of now, that video has over like 5 or 6 dislikes because nobody wants to hear me talk about that. Either that or they just dislike the video because they just don't like the person, period. So, we had a lot of distraughtful, tragic celebrity deaths, especially those that are of the iconic, like Joan Rivers, Robin Williams, Casey Kasem, and even recently, late last month, voice actress Kristen Cavanaugh, who was the voice of Dexter from Dexter's Lab and Chucky Pfister from Rugrats, had passed away at the age of 51. And that's what, for the end of the year, that really shocked me to hear voice actress Kristen Cavanaugh, who was the voice of Dexter from Dexter's Laboratory and Chucky from Rugrats, to die. And I knew sooner or later, I knew then and there, as soon as I heard that Kristen Cavanaugh passed away, I can hear the sound of my childhood dying right now. I thought it was someone I know from the Rugrats voice cast, like E.G. Daily, who did the voice of Tommy Pickles, that died, but no, E.G. Daly's still alive. Or someone from the Cartoon Network shows, like some voice actor or actress from those days, from the early days when Nickelodeon Cartoon Network was good. And I heard that they died, when knowing Kristen Cavanaugh was the one that died. So, rest in peace, Dexter. Rest in peace, Chucky Pfister. Yeah, 2014, there were like more celebrity deaths I can witness than the celebrity deaths, because I told you back in 2013, if you guys remember watching my when knowing my video on Lee Thompson Young, who used to be the famous Jet Jackson and was on the Rizzolian Isles show on TNT 2 years ago. When I did that video about the day following his death, I knew of Lee Thompson Young, but I told you about his death and why he died, and he committed suicide, and I had some sympathy for him, and he was one of my favorite actors growing up from a Disney Channel show. Now, I can see if this was someone from another Disney Channel show, like Shia LaBeouf is way beyond his Disney years, and ever since Transformers, he's been a complete nutcase douchebag all of a sudden. So, or someone from the Disney Channel days that died. But in 2014, there were like so many celebrity deaths, especially those that we lost way too soon, like Philip Seymour Hoffman, and so many legendary celebrities and young current celebrities, to name a few, that died. But the most prominent #1 celebrity death of 2014, albeit as declared, is Robin Williams. I mean, Robin Williams, the man that made us laugh, made us cry, has left us back around late August of last year. That's why I topped Robin Williams' death as the #1 tragic celebrity death of 2014. Next to Joan Rivers, next to Casey Kasem, next to almost every other celebrity I can think of whose name I can think else from the top of my head right now that we've lost in 2014 to be put on my list here. What else? What else was also why I did not like 2014? Okay, Kim Kardashian. Her breaking the internet. This is why, as soon as she started posting those fake-ass oiled bubble butt nude pics on the internet and having the whole world to see that, well, at least I didn't follow that trend of like doing this, repeating the hashtag Kim K breaking internet. I didn't want to do that. The ice bucket challenge stuff. Well, the reason why the ice bucket challenge was done, even I've seen a couple of my Facebook friends do it, and did videos where they did the ice bucket challenge. They had to do it for a cause because there was a illness going on, and I didn't want to participate. I don't even have a bucket or a bag of ice to pour ice cold water on myself just to support that cause. So then what else was there in 2014? Why I felt 2014 was a dreadful year for me. Remember, October was the month of Ebola. The Ebola outbreak. That was another thing I did not like about 2014. And even still to this point, there has to be a way to get rid of the Ebola virus outbreak, and knowing that, after hearing some really gruesome, scary stuff about Ebola, the Ebola virus, I said to myself, this is why I'm keeping my ass out in the house and not go anywhere out throughout the month of October, because if anyone who took a plane to Africa for some sort of trip, paradise, and came back here, any state, including my own, where I live at, from Africa to anywhere, and tried to spread the Ebola virus to us, that's, I don't want to die from that. That's why I kept my ass in the house, away from this danger. And also Sony and Microsoft's PlayStation Network and Xbox Live systems were, online systems were sort of, they were hacked by a group. I forgot the name of the hacking, the hack group. I forgot his name because I was reading an article about Sony, about PlayStation Network, Xbox Live being hacked, and it's just 2014 just wasn't good. It wasn't a good year. We had some very dreadful movies, yes, and even reboots, remakes of classic stuff aplenty around. And but at least we had some decent movies in 2014. Especially the final Hobbit movie, The Battle of the Five Armies, the final Night of the Museum film, despite the fact Robin Williams died posthumous before that movie's release. We had so many movies, especially, knowing that we had Guardians of the Galaxy, we had Captain America the Winter Soldier, X-Men Days of Futures Past, we had, especially aside from those movies that are considered the worst, like The Amazing Spider-Man 2, but I still like The Amazing Spider-Man 2, and it sucks that Sony, I'll do a separate Spider-Man podcast later regarding the future of the franchise of The Amazing right now, and also Sony and Marvel trying to make a deal out of how to get Spider-Man into the Marvel Cinematic Universe later. We had the new Ninja Turtles movie being a drag, although you have people out there that do like the new Ninja Turtles movie just because Megan Fox is in it this time, although the first time being in a Michael Bay production since Transformers Revenge of the Fallen. Has been 6 years since that came out, and everyone, I said to myself, I don't give a fuck about the new Ninja Turtles movie, to be honest. At least I appreciated the new Transformers movie, Age of Extinction, over the new Ninja Turtles film. So, there were so many other movies. Actually, 2014, we didn't even have any good movies out, to be honest, except for superhero films. If I hear you guys say The Amazing Spider-Man 2 sucks in the comment section, I don't know what else I can say about you. But personally, I liked The Amazing Spider-Man 2. It may not be a good sequel to the first Amazing Spider-Man from 2012, but I can see how much you guys care about the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man trilogy. That's foregone. I mean, yes, those movies will still be around for the rest of our lives and repeat, airings at home and all that. But you guys got to give the new movies a chance. For those that still love the Raimi movies but hate the new films. So, fuck you guys. Guardians of the Galaxy, however, is the most dominated superhero film of 2014 because Guardians of the Galaxy is what helped us know of those characters. For those that don't know of Guardians of the Galaxy, I'm so glad I even got a chance to see that film. Captain America the Winter Soldier is the first best superhero film of 2014, and X-Men Days of Futures Past is number 3, Amazing Spider-Man is number 4, pretty much. So it's at the very bottom, because despite the mixed, lukewarm reception for that film. Were there any good video games other than Destiny, and some other games in 2014 that was good and bad. I have not been paying attention to no further video games from 2014 besides Destiny. That was the only game I ever cared for in 2014. I don't care for Minecraft. I don't care for some couple of other games I can't think of from the top of my head. It's just I have not been paying attention to video games this past year, because I was so focused on what's going on outside, in the celebrity movie, TV world and celebrity world more rather. So, though 2014 we did have, aside from the bad movies that we still hate, there are a couple of other good movies I can think of. Like Interstellar, Christopher Nolan's latest film with Matthew McConaughey, Jessica Chastain, and Anne Hathaway in it, and another movie I can think I can think of, Gone Girl, and some other movies. Now the harsh part, television of 2014. 2014 for TV for me, there were some shows that were good, and there were definitely a lot of shows that were awful. I'm not going to name a lot of them because I don't want to waste an hour talking about how bad there was a whole bunch of shows in 2014 that sucked. And knowing that the top 3 worst shows of 2014, to be honest, was Bad Judge with Kate Walsh, Mulaney on Fox, and there's one more show that's one of the top worst shows of 2014 this past year. Almost Human, and gang related, and some other show I can't think of. I'm trying to think of from last year that was the top 5 worst. There were a couple of shows that I did watch in 2014, well, as the year was about to close up, that I thought was pretty good, like Stalker on CBS, that brand new show with David McDermott and Maggie Q in it that I currently put on my list of top best shows of 2014. A to Z with Kristen Milioti and what's his face. But sucks, that show is canceled along with A to Z. I don't see why. I mean, if A to Z is doing so well with fans and audiences, why is it getting poor ratings? Is it because nobody's barely watching that show? Well, the reason why I only watched A to Z for a couple of episodes because Kristen Milioti, who used to be the generic considered mother of How I Met Your Mother's final season, was in it. So yeah, I only watched it because of Kristen Milioti. The worst of 2014, well, actually one of the biggest worst, well, other than, well, what made Power Rangers Super Megaforce ruin the 20th anniversary, and Bad Judge being one of the worst comedies Kate Walsh has ever done, and what else? How I Met Your Mother's series final episode that aired around late March of last year. The final episode of How I Met Your Mother. That was the worst of 2014. I'm not going to go in full detail how bad it is. I've already witnessed it and heard everyone's opinion and their voices being heard on that, because knowing that it was the worst finale for a sitcom ever. And hell, it wasn't even at the level of how Friends' final episode, the last one that aired back in May of 2004, did well, and why that was the well-received finale of that show. But How I Met Your Mother was no different for its series finale. There was a couple of other shows that I did not like in 2014. I can think of those names, but I'm not going to mention them on video, but I'll mention them in the comments later on, if anyone's going to pay attention. So, celebrities, same old, except for those that are just so overrated, overexposing, like Miley Cyrus and Kim Kardashian. Same old. I mean, why do I even fucking care? I mean, like, that's another thing I need to stop stammering. It's just, the reason why we have to hear a lot about these celebrities in the headlines is because they are famous, they have a job, they have jobs, they have money. I don't. I'm a regular person. with a normal life, normal job, but though my life and though the way how I'm living in this situation sucks, and knowing it is not is well, whatever. It's just 2014 as we went through it. This year was just one of the darkest years for me. And then personally, even at home, here where I am at home, it's so stilted, boring. It feels like a ghost town where I live at. And also there was just so much tragic stuff going around in my hometown in Gaithersburg, like that airplane back last month in December, weeks before Christmas. An airplane crashed to a home here in Gaithersburg. Not where I'm in my neighborhood. I mean, somewhere on the other side of Gaithersburg, where the house. You know, if you guys watched the news and heard it on the internet, and then just the past year was just terrible. If you guys think 2014 was good, I understand you guys are more positive thinking, and I'm more the negative, so abstract sort of thinker, but it's just. 2014 was a terrible year, period. To me, I felt like I was getting, throughout 2014, I was getting reminded vibes of 2011, when knowing that's way behind me. But 2014, it was just terrible. Month after month, however, personally, I kept having issues with my dad and my brother, and yes, and even one of the worst things I have ever done in 2014, on our birthday months, because my birthday is in September, and so is my brother's, Austin, and on my brother's 20th birthday, I cannot believe what I did that was just wrong. I did something to him to piss him off, and even piss my dad off, because he was. My mind was like south and elsewhere, and elsewhere, and I hit him, and I did something, cussed him out, and telling my brother to stop being an asshole to me. Well, my brother's younger than me, and I'm like, even though I don't act as the older brother to him, I act like a regressive younger brother with the, and all that crap, and. I hit him. He was trying to restrain me from trying to. I threw something at him. That's forgone, but it's just I ruined my brother's 20th birthday, and that just fucked me up in 2014. Then something else. Back to Facebook. On Facebook when I was like lonely and I didn't have nothing good to do besides post a whole bunch of continuous stuff about my Power Rangers Lost Galaxy fan film. I started for those that know me on Facebook as just Anthony Mars Jr. and not no other nickname. When I was on when I started discovering what other social stuff I can do on Facebook aside from posting stuff on fan pages or my personal profile, my YouTube profile, Facebook profile, I did come across a couple of group pages regarding stuff, and I was involved with Power Rangers. And the first Power Rangers Facebook group I've ever joined was the Power Chamber Power Rangers Facebook group, and in my first Power Rangers group I've ever joined. Although I wasn't an administrator at all. But when I joined that group, my first time there didn't go so well over at the Power Chamber group. For those that knew me back in that group, I did something. I was not following some rules, and I was going through some mess with some members, and I was flirting with this guy's girlfriend on the group. And that person got mad with me because I was soliciting with that person, and knowing that girl has a guy friend, husband or whatever, and Nathan the Saw. I'm calling his name out for this, and he knew I was messing with this girl that he knew that is probably his sister or so, and then when I looked at the IDs, because and when you join a Power Rangers group on Facebook, especially like on my Unleash the Power Dino Charge group and Morphin Megaverse and such, When you join a Power Rangers Facebook group, there's an ID sheet of what Power Ranger of all seasons, and especially Sentai IDs that you can choose from. I mean, either if you want to be, in order for you to join a Power Rangers Facebook group, you have to have a Ranger ID of any Ranger of any color, like Red Ranger, Mighty Morphin, Blue Ranger, Zeo, Green Ranger, Mystic Force, or something, you know. And you have to join the group. I mean, if you don't pick an idea if you just join the group for no reason, you're going to be deleted from the group. But when I joined the Power Chamber group to start off, due to the fact my favorite season of Power Rangers was Lost Galaxy, someone already had my favorite Red Ranger, which was Leo from Lost Galaxy, as his ID. And I had to pick, like, Galaxy Blue, Galaxy Green, Pink, and Magna Defender, but I didn't want that. So I had to stick to Galaxy Yellow, but although despite the fact Lost Galaxy's Sentai counterpart of its Yellow Ranger was male, and I didn't want to be Lost Galaxy Yellow. I wanted to be Red, and then some jackass administrator told me that that's already been taken, and I just didn't. Well, when I joined these kind of Power Ranger groups to start with, I didn't follow. I didn't know what the rules were. I didn't know how to do this because I'd never been on a group before until as soon as I created my own Ranger groups, like Morphin Megaverse. That's when I started to get the hang of it. I started to get to know the rules and all that. And as I joined more Ranger groups and all, like Legendary Mode and all those groups, Power Ranger groups, that's when I started to know what the rules are. And all that, and knowing that rules are rules and you have to follow them. If you disrespect the rules, you're banished permanently for life until death. And once you're dead, you no longer exist. And but anyway, it's just Nathan Desa and I in that group. He was the administrator. I was a member until I was kicked out because I didn't last in that group for almost a month. I joined that group around Memorial Day weekend, which was in May of last year, which was in the first Power Rangers group I've ever was in. And I cussed Nathan and what's-her-face, Katie Terra. And I cussed her out a little bit, but I didn't really cuss her out. And he said I was stalking her, I was making her uncomfortable. I wasn't even, well, this is reminding me of what's-her-face from Gamesburg High School again, when I was fucking around with her a little bit. Or most of the time. And, Nathan, he called me a jerk after I told him, well, since he kicked me out of the group, since I didn't say nothing, I want to avoid his conversation. And I told him, well, I was like, fine, unfriend me, jerk. And he called me, you're the jerk. And I just, slammed my computer down in anger and frustration. I just felt like if I ever see that punk, well, he's going to call me a punk, and because I sound like a... knowing me, I suck with insults. I never was strong enough with insults. And I told him, I said to myself, if I see that punk in real life, I'm going to punch him dead straight in the face. But I said, no. Violence is never the answer. No. Just no. So I blocked his ass. And so I did Katie Terra, and I did LeVincent Rogers, who... I'm not going to call out his sexual orientation because he doesn't like being added to a group. And I said, well, you know what? Fine. Fuck you. You're blocked from my sites. Goodbye. So I'm stuck with those that are now friends of mine on those Power Ranger groups. But if they turn against me, then I don't have nobody to be with anymore. So yeah, that's my story and what I was going through. And yes, in my continuation dealing with my previous stalker on YouTube, on the internet, though he was a male stalker, Sailor Moon Tube 11. He sent me a video response on his Power Rangers Red account. I dealt with that. That's why after my response to him, I'm done with Dwayne. I've been done with him. Moving on. And some other stuff I did in 2014. There was just, the whole year was terrible. It was dreadful. Again, speaking, I'm not going to repeat it again. So, in final thoughts, what was your best memory of what you did in 2014, and what was your worst memory of 2014? please leave a comment on the bottom below the video and let me know. And I would like to read what you guys thought was your best memory and your worst memory of the year 2014. Since I've already welcomed 2015 a little bit 2 days late or a week late, and I'm surprised that you know, I had to speak out the truth of what I was going through in 2014 and what kind of dire consequences will contuses me in 2015. So therefore, it's about time for a change for me on this channel. And as 2015 again unravels, like I said in the beginning of the video, it is time for me on PR Lost Galaxy 2014, and as throughout this new year on this channel, my 3rd year in a row, I will do less podcasts, and also as of now, as a quick video update, as a quick channel update, new podcasts and toy reviews and such will be on Wednesdays and Fridays. So I'm going to be taking Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays, and Sundays off, and only release new videos once a week on Wednesdays for podcasts and some other such on Fridays. Or at least if I don't have anything good to post on my channel within a week, I'll just post another podcast on a Friday, just to catch up with what you guys have been listening to me, and probably a vlog of what I'm doing right now and whatever else. And I was hoping if you guys would like to follow me on Twitter more and also ask me some questions, and if there's any questions you would like to ask me on Twitter, feel free to do so, because although I'm not that big of a celebrity, or a YouTube celebrity, I'm just an average person on YouTube posting whatever. So go ahead and feel free to do that too, because, you know, I have a couple of followers on Twitter. I have not been on my Twitter all year long, but I have been aware of who's been following me and all that. So yeah. And then also on Facebook, I understand the amount of friend requests, because knowing to the fact that when really in reality I have no friends out in the world besides like one neighbor my age in my neighborhood. That's it. So this concludes my somewhat not so clear 2014 year in review, because I know I couldn't do these events out of order in chronological order. I just had to speak this stuff while in my ramble, and wow, this video was an hour to discuss. So yeah. So anyway, this is Anthony Mars Jr. on PR Lost Galaxy 2014. Thanks for watching. Enjoy season 3 of my and the new year on my channel. Be sure to subscribe, comment, drop a like, and let me know what you guys think of this video. If you guys again have a memory from 2014 you would like to drop in the comments, feel free to do so. Leaving now, shutting down for the night on Terra Venture, and my discussion here at its conference hall is now over.